Good evening. Can you hear me okay? So, welcome to those who are here in person and also those watching online. Very warm welcome. Anybody here for the first time? Okay, so just to share the house rules then. The way you came in is the way out if there's an emergency. We're not planning on any drills, but if there is, then the ushers will guide you. And if you need to use the facilities, they're down the corridor on the left, and there's water fountain just on the landing. So welcome. And our theme this evening is about, do you remember the theme? Do you know the theme? Yes, loving detachment. And my name is Daxa, and I've been meditating for over 35 years now with the Brahma Kumaris. And also it's my fortune that I'm here full time in terms of helping with the coordination of the events and activities here. So when we hear this theme, the two words loving and detachment, it's quite a paradox, isn't it? They're two opposites in a way. And yet we have selected this theme, that how we can be very loving and yet be very detached. And especially this event we're marking, the Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow. But where does the love begin with? So first and foremost is loving ourselves and then loving others. And in terms of others, what are the aspects that we have to keep in mind that we have connection with? So A, with ourselves, then with people, nature, money, possessions. So we have relationships with either people, things, nature. And in terms of possessions, it could be wealth, it could be property, it could be also, the degrees, the whatever titles we may find ourselves associating with. But how does one bring that loving detachment, yet the love is there within the relationship itself and others, but there is that detachment? In a study class this morning, the advanced study class for those who have done the meditation course, and we have our study class on a daily basis, one of the point that was being underlined for us was being, I'll say it in Hindi and then I translate in English. The term, very sweet term, which is very dear to me, the word sakshi. And the word sakshi means being like a detached observer. So when I am in that awareness of being a detached observer, and I understand that this stage is like, the world is like a stage, and everybody's playing their part. So be it my parents, be it my brother, sister, however close the relatives may be, and my relationships with them. But they're actors and we're all playing our part. And when I see others as a co-actors and different people having different roles to play, then I step away from what we happens in our minds as corrections, that they should be saying like this, or they should be doing this, or they should be helping here. So we are able to then distance ourselves and see them as an actor. And when we are able to do that, then we can see clearly as to who's going wrong or who could do things differently, but yet we would not impose. It is very important to get ourselves to that awareness that, yes, if I have the opportunity, yes, if I'm in the position to make a difference, then I can share. But what we find ourselves doing, that in pretext of love, because I love you, I want to tell you. And yes, it's probably true that I want the best out of them, but then we have to also be aware, are they ready to listen? Or is that the right time to tell anybody? Yeah, so that's where the detached observer, and this is a very beautiful word. And if you like to, you know, learn this Hindi term, sakshi, it's very beautiful. That it's not that I'm not aware, but I'm not involved in a way. And if I can bring myself to that awareness where I am doing things, I am fulfilling my commitments, I'm fulfilling my duties, playing my role, looking after my responsibilities. But yet, all the time, I am detached. So we are loving, but we are detached. Again, another Hindi term that I'd like to introduce to you for those who are not familiar with Hindi is this word nyara and pyara. Nyara is detached, unique, separate. There's different translation for this one word in Hindi. At different contexts in the sentence, it means all these things. And yet, pyara, loving. And we often hear this in the spiritual practice. Normally, what we find is people would say, be loving, yeah, in terms of relationship. But on a spiritual path, actually, we always suggested that the more you are detached, the more loving you can be. Yeah? Because when there is an attachment, then there is a limitation. Say, for instance, you are my friend, then I want to help you, but not others. So here, detachment doesn't mean I don't help, but then I help anybody who is in need. Do you see the word nyara and pyara? And that's exactly what loving and detachment means. That when I step aside in a way and then look at the bigger picture, then I'm able to actually be more fair. And this is the benefit of having this awareness of being detached and then loving. So when I'm attached, then I limit my world. My world becomes very small. I only care for my family, I only care for myself, or I care for a few people. But when there is that detachment, and detachment is very different to this word indifference. It's not that I'm detaching because I dislike somebody or dislike someone or a situation. I'm not detached because I have no other choice but to detach. Like in COVID, we could not see our relatives. A lot of people, like Mother's Days, Father's Days, people could not go and see their mothers and fathers. Some did, but it was not the law. Now, when you're forced to do something and you do it, that's not detachment. Yeah. So when you're imposed upon, then you felt the sadness, you felt the sorrow, you were hurt. But when there isn't that, imposition, but I'm doing it willingly based on an understanding, and then that detachment actually brings more love. And that love becomes more unconditional. That love actually is more compassionate. That love is empowering. And where we are able to give the love and not expect anything in return. And in fact, that love would help others to grow. So there is a spiritual growth for the self because there's freedom. I'm not limiting myself. And at the same time, whoever is maybe at the receiving end also becomes spiritually empowered. And then that love multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And before we know, we are in a community where there's a lot of sharing and giving. And when we understand that as human beings, one of our prime purpose of being in this kind of status or in this kind of awareness, or let's say in this being in this body or the role that we are playing, is actually to give. But we moved from that awareness, and many, if not mass majority, their thinking is, will go where I can get something. Do we ever think that I'll go where I can give something? No. Right? Okay, say for instance, why do you come to a center? To receive something. But why do you come to receive something? So that you become empowered and then you want to give. That's different. But most of the times, okay, I want to take this job because I can get something, or I want to, and we want to get things easily. We don't often want to work hard to do that. So if we become aware that our prime purpose actually is there for us to give, and in giving is the happiness. But then if my giving is based on a condition, is based on an expectations, is based on that I want something in return, that's where the attachment comes. Even if it's not attachment to that person, the attachment is that my idea should be acknowledged. That whatever I've given, you have to give me something in return. And sometimes it's not necessarily money or whatever, but maybe it's just respect. Maybe it's just an acknowledgement. But when there's any kind of expectations, what happens, then there is sorrow. Because our expectations are not likely to be met all the time. Often the sorrow is because, we've done so much, but subtly we do it because we think we love the other person, or we love the nation, or we love whomever we are doing it for. But there is a slightest tinge that I want you to help. I want you to acknowledge. I want you to be present when I need you. Yeah. Now let's be honest and say, do we do that? And if we do that, then at some point in time, I'm likely to be disappointed. And then what happens? Then either I become, I grumble, I complain, I become sad, I become lonely. I feel it's, where do I go from here now? And you see how we find ourselves confining ourselves in a little jail. And there's nothing to stop us from doing anything, but we find ourselves being confined. And that's why we're not able to then grow. So why is detachment so important? Is that the more I detach, then I'm able to then, let's just have a moment of silence. It's generally our traffic control every hour on the hour. That's just a reminder. So let's have a moment of silence. So, as I was saying, that love and detachment in being indifferent, or even a bit more harsher than that, is disliking somebody, or totally not being in control. Like I was giving the example of COVID, where we could not meet our relatives, we could not meet our close friends. Then it's like external things are forcing us to be detached. But that was not nicely seen, isn't it? It brought a lot of sorrow to so many people. But if we understand that that was the need of the time and it will soon pass, and it did in some ways, it continues, but it also did. And in fact, what it did, the good thing it did is that it brought us closer to ourselves in many ways. We were able to then know each other, who we were closely knitted with, and often didn't spend much time with each other. So, going back to detachment based on where you feel totally hopeless, where you feel you have no choice, where you feel you want to detach because you don't like what's happening, and we detach, that actually is not true detachment. The real detachment on a spiritual terms is whilst I'm in actions, whilst I am in a community, I can be myself. I can be loving, but I don't want anything in return from anybody. And when there isn't that need to get anything in return, then what happens that you're able to smile, you're able to be free. And when you're working with that awareness, and say you're working with your service companions, you're working with your family members, your colleagues, whoever it may be, and if things are not going right to begin with, or people misunderstand your love, because we all have a way of sharing love which we feel comfortable and we know, but for others that might not be the love, and that might mean that you are kind of intruding their life, that might be you're controlling their life. That's not your aim, but that you hear. And if you hear something like that, it's time to stop and check that how can I share that love in the way that it's more meaningful for them. And yet, when you are aware that no, the way you're doing is probably the right way of doing it, you continue. And time will come when the other person will understand and appreciate, but you need to have the patience till that appreciation happens, or it may not happen. I've seen with our seniors that, they would advise, they would suggest, and, they would really appreciate souls who may have not been doing things, but they could see the potential in them. And many times when you translate, or I'm talking about Dadi Janki, who was a previous head of the organization, and people have taken 8 years, 10 years to understand what she meant for them. But she never let go of her love for them. Now, the question to ask ourselves, do I have that kind of patience? And we have to kind of increase that. We have to develop that. Because when there is true love, then even if people misunderstand, it should not hurt us. Because sometimes it's, I'm trying for you, I'm doing it all for you. But when we find ourselves thinking or saying that, we have to question 2 or 3 things especially. Is that really true? That I really mean the best for you? Or I have some subtle ulterior motive that even I may not be aware of. So it's very important that we check that. And secondly, if that question is yes, it's the right thing to do, and carry on. Carry on giving, carry on sharing. Here comes a bit of karma in this as well, that the more we share, the more we will receive. Now, it's not because I want to receive, I want to share, but that's the law of karma. The only being who is beyond that is divine. The more we give good, the more good will come to us. The more we share sadness, sorrow, hurt, more of that will come to us. And this is why even in our chatting, our casual conversation, is it just weather that we're talking about? political situation, the economical situation, or is it something really positive? We have to be very, very aware of these things, because the more we do all of that, more of that will come to us. And we often have those conversations thinking we have to be prepared, we have to be aware, and it's a wise thing to do. I need to inform you that this, that, and the other is happening. Yes, let's do that, what is minimum needed, but nothing more than that. And especially when we start our conversations, say from the morning or late at night, we sleep with those thoughts. What is our first thought when we wake up? War, injustice, chaos. Where does our first thought go to when we wake up? I think currently most of the first thing people will be thinking, is my mobile still charged? Let me see if anybody has sent me a message. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but if the very first thought is about what's happening on your WhatsApp or what messages you may have received, then please be kind to yourself. It should not be so. Your first thing has to be something very positive. You need to start with loving yourself, giving time to yourself. Because the more we love ourselves in a true sense, the more our interaction with each other will improve. Because if I am harsh with myself, then that's what I'll offer to others. If I'm kind to myself, then that's what I will offer. So this loving detachment allows us to be free, allows and improves our relationships, makes them more harmonious. And even if things externally does not change necessarily, but there's a lot more compassion in our interactions, in our thinking. We're able to free ourselves from judgments, from having opinions. That is also we have to look at. When we see a scenario, when probably we see it happening 2-3 times, maybe even more than that, we start boxing people. Okay, when I see this is what I remember. You are like that, you're like that, you're like that, you're like that. Now we think that is a wise thing to do and a clever thing to do. Now, I'm so clever, I know exactly what you're going to think or how you're going to behave. Do we actually ever realize, let alone judging them, we are harming ourselves? Because we're not just putting them into a box, but it's also showing us about our own personality. That I have not anything better to do, so I keep judging people. I keep looking at others. So that loving detachment actually allows introvertedness. In Hindi, these words are Swadarshan. Let me see myself. Let me find the best of me within me. And when I find the best of me, then I can see the best in others. None of us are perfect. We all own a journey. But when I see the best in myself, then I can see the best in others. And each one's best comes together to bring the best. But because we generally tend to see, in the pretext of being clever and wise, we're so quick to judging. Even if somebody's probably only done this maybe twice, but they're jealous. They're always angry. They don't know this. Are so quick to judge. But who is being harmed? And what are we sending out there in the atmosphere? So not just our relationship with people, but our relationship with nature, And then often it, comes out onto our pets, our closest relatives, and then wider world. The chaos we see in the world today, where did it all start? It's an accumulation of lot of karma. Yeah? It must have started somewhere in this one's mind, that one's mind, maybe my mind, and then it multiplied, multiplied, multiplied. And where is it led the world to be? I mean, is there any place that we feel is safe in the world today? Yeah. Even the most quietest countries and people, politically always safe, economically safe. Today is not the reality. Even anywhere we are, we don't know what's going to happen next. So where does the safety lie? That safety lies in, first of all, not bringing ourselves in this confinement of judging people, in confinement of holding grudges, in confinement of holding opinions. But having this awareness, the best is yet to come and is happening. We should not have this awareness that they've been doing things like this, they're likely to continue. Who are we there to give the certificate? Who are we to say or even think about that? And do you think we are perfect completely in every aspect? No. So they probably think the same about us. Would you like that? No. So why should I feel that for somebody else? So detachment is not just from people, but detachment mainly from the wrong way of thinking that we brought ourselves into. Wrong way of taking on board the feelings and holding on to it. So cleansing needs to happen frequently on a daily basis. Even if I hear something, that is not right, that is not helpful, I don't need to retain it. I can be aware, I know it, but I don't need to dwell on it. Where we go wrong is when we start dwelling on it. That's the attachment bit. We don't see these things as attachment, but these are the things that bring sorrow. Yeah. And based on those things, then yes, the expectation comes, then the dislike comes. And, to have disinterest based on dislike is not helpful. Disinterest in the world should be based on understanding, based on what time is trying to tell us. So detachment is actually a preparation that we have to do so that we are able to face the situations that we're likely to see. Did you get it? Do you probably need me to explain this more to you? We are all aware of the current times that we are in, right? Do you think it's improving in most ways? No. So it's going to improve, let me tell you. Good news is it will improve. But before it improves, it might become a lot more chaotic. And this is a mild way of putting it. It will be quite distressing. And that's the prediction, that we'll be seeing things that you haven't heard of, that is kind of impossible, will be possible in a wrong way, wrong aspects. So if there is any level of attachment, then there will be sorrow. So why this theme has come at this point is actually to prepare us. So detachment is actually a protection. Now, again, I want to remind detachment is not being indifferent. Detachment is not about disliking something or someone, but detachment is understanding that we are all individuals. But yes, we are in a community, so we work together, we live together, we depend on each other to some extent. But the real dependency comes when emotionally, mentally, we are dependent on someone. And so often, like in terms of attachment, let me give another example to understand it better. Let's say if you are a close relative of mine or a close friend, colleague, and if one of them is not well, and when I get the news, I become sad. Now, my sadness, is it going to help them? So somebody very close to you is either of old age or terminal illness or accident or whatever it may be, they're about to leave the body. And when you get this news, are you able to help them if you become sad? Is that my love for them? These are the questions we need to ponder on. If I truly love them, then I need to be strong. It's not that I don't have a choice, but that is the choice I have to make. Say if you were looking after your elderly mother, or your parent, any of them, or both maybe. And just because their health is deteriorating and if you start becoming sad about it, are you able to help them? It's like, you're on a journey and few of you together and somebody accidentally falls in a well or a pit hole or whatever it may be, but it's quite deep. What you need to do, just because you love them, go with them? You wouldn't do that, would you? You will make sure that you don't fall so you can get them out. So similarly, quite different to what we are thinking, that in just being loving, and especially on the level of attachment, is when we can give. But no, it's actually when we are able to step back. Again, this word sakshi, it's just being a witness. Then I'm able to take the right decision. Now let's take a scenario of a car accident. Generally for car accident, you may be with the driver, you may be in the first, passenger seat in the front. Would your statement, whatever you say, will be taken in the court? They will say no. If you are a passenger in the car that's met with an accident, what you say will not be counted. It has to be a witness. Because you being in the car, you can only see to a certain extent. Has any co-passenger of a driver who's met with an accident been able to save the driver? Generally, to my knowledge, no. I could be wrong. But if somebody is witnessing that and is able to see both the cars and they're able to say, no, if you had just turned left, you would have saved yourself from an accident. Now, this witness has nothing against it. He or she doesn't know either of the car drivers. And this is the stage we have to bring ourselves for our own life as well. that, okay, this situation has happened. Let me be a witness, a sakshi, and then make a judgment. And trust me, it's not heavy duty. But because we have so far, our brains have been washed away thinking attachment is love. No, but being sakshi is actually being loving. Do you like this word sakshi? Mm-hmm. Because, detachment also sounds a bit harsh. So it's not about depriving yourself. It's not about being indifferent, but it's about being wise. It's about understanding what is beneficial for everyone. Yeah. And, say breakups, it's hard, especially like if it's a parent with children, you either lose somebody or there's divorce cases, there's separations. But there are so many situations, especially like in divorce cases, that it was hard when the divorce was taking place, hard for both the parties. But once that happened and both were able to be settled, there's actually more appreciation and understanding, and they're better friends. So often that detachment brings more love. But when we are on top of each other, it just brings a lot of negativity. But the main thing is to be aware, like to underline, be here to share. And the actual sorrow comes, or the difficulty comes from detaching from anything, is because I'm expecting something from either that person or a being or possession, name, fame, whatever it may be. But when I understand that my existence, my identity, however you want to see it, is based on my true nature, on who I am, the being, a being of light, the child of divine. And when I connect through my thoughts, either through prayers, through meditation, through inner reflection, with the divine, and take the power from divine, where I know that that source is available to me 24/7, and that I do not need to depend on anybody. Now, that doesn't mean physically we don't depend on anybody. We work together, we coexist. But when we are emotionally dependent on somebody, that is the hardest. So we move away from that emotional need, and we are empowered, and that we are actually able to give more. And then you will see the relationships improve. But when there is even the slightest expectations in some form, then you will find that we find ourselves in a web. And often it becomes, what is the word to say, is it becomes so unbearable, but yet we are not able to break out from that web. We're not able to come out because we've gone in so many layers. So we kind of delete a few layers, more will appear. And the simplest method is that more I'm able to reflect, the more I'm able to see myself as this being of light, being an actor on the stage with all the co-actors. I learn to respect myself. I learn to love myself. And I share that love and respect for others. Yes, different people have to do different things to run a place, to run a business, to run a house, whatever situation we may be. But there's no dependency. You're free. Otherwise, we find like that the mistakes we make or the mistakes others have made becomes kind of imprisons us, and there's no freedom. So detachment actually brings more freedom. It's the attachment that is binding. And we find ourselves saying that when it comes to love, fallen in love. And I could never understand, why would people fall in love? We should rise in love, isn't it? But when the love becomes attachment, that's when we fall. Yeah. So like I love flowers, but if I hold them tight, it's fresh, I wouldn't want to hold them tight. But what will happen? I'll crush them. Yeah. They will wilt way sooner than their normal life. So let me see, am I holding to my close ones like that? Or am I allowing them the freedom? You're not taking these flowers, are you? They're here in a flower vase for everybody who comes here to enjoy the beauty. So they're still with me. And this is how we have to apply this same scenario to everything in our life. It's not that because I share things with others, it will go away from me. No. And even if it does go away, it will be pleasure that I'll be sharing. If I give you one flower, give you another one, more will come. And it so often happens. One of our sisters was saying at our headquarters that, she shares a lot. And because people see her sharing, people keep bringing things for her to share. Because they take such value that it's from the headquarters that they're receiving. So that's what we see in our seniors. Anything will come, they'll share. And more will be coming. And it's true for anything in our life. Like the wisdom we have, the more I share, the more will come to me. Because we're not sharing it with others in terms of teaching them. We're actually emphasizing the things that we also need to remind ourselves. Because sometimes we know these things, but then it's sort of gone on the back burner. But time and time again, we have to bring it to our forefront of the mind so that it's there in our every action. So I'll pause here to see if there is any questions, either here from the audience or online. Is there any question? No questions? Everybody detached?
It's just to remind me of something you said. What does Swardarshan mean again?
Okay, sure. So the word is beautiful, Swardarshan. Swa means self, and darshan means kind of having a vision. In English, the way it's translated is spinning the discus of self-realization. And most of you have seen this picture of Vishnu. For those of you who have been here before, and that image is not there for us to offer up prayers or anything like that. It's not for worshipping, but it's a sweet reminder that these are the symbols we have to apply in our lives. So there are 4 symbols Vishnu holds. One is the Swadarshana chakra, and the other is a conch shell, lotus flower, and a mace. So spinning the discus of self-realization is learning to to be introverted, to see where I need to change, to see what are my liabilities, what are my assets in terms of my qualities, my nature, the things I do, the way I perceive things, and where I can change. Because so often others say, oh, you're not sitting properly. They shouldn't have been putting this thing down there. What kind of shoes are you wearing? Our focus is on world out there. But now I need to learn to look within. And the word darshan in Hindi actually is often used for something that is beautiful or something that is powerful, elevated. So to have a vision of myself which is elevated, which is powerful, which is beautiful, and focus on that, not my weaknesses. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not aware of my weaknesses, but I want to empower the abilities that God has already given me, the gifts that I have received. And through those gifts and using those gifts, I'm able to deal with things that are not so right. In mythologies and scriptures, we hear stories that with that discus, demons' heads were cut off. Now, there's no external demons, but the demons within us. So our positivity, the more we focus on the gift of God, more those qualities of weaknesses will be looked at. The conch shell is, so you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to share all 4 symbols. The conch shell is symbolizing sweetness, and it's generally in the East and especially in Bharat in India. On 2 occasions they are used, or 2 major places is at temples, when there is particular event that is happening on a daily basis, the conch shell is blown to let the devotees know it's time to come and have darshan, have a vision. And in traditional days of wars, it was to actually signal the enemies that we are ready to war. So the law of wars were that you would inform the enemy that you're coming to war. And here the enemy is not a physical person or a nation, but the enemy is within. That I'm now, through the help of divine, empowering myself, that I'm ready to challenge my weaknesses. I'm able to see and face my fears, my negative tendencies, because now I'm empowering myself through help of divine to look at and fight with the negativity. And as I receive the wisdom, I want to share with others. So conch shell is informing others about good, themes that are taking place, good wisdom that is being shared. And a lotus flower. Lotus grows in dirty water, in muddy water. But if you try to put the muddy water on the petals, it will not retain for too long. Yeah, there's a waxy substance on the petals that will trickle the water away. So yes, I can't run away from the world that is chaotic. I continue to live in the chaotic world, but the chaos will not reach me. So the lotus flower. And mace, generally mace is to, again, attack somebody. But in this picture, the mace is always like this. It's a bit like a certificate. When you're holding a degree, how would you hold a degree? It's kind of like that. It's posing for a graduation ceremony, sort of. And when I focus on my thoughts to be pure, the self-realization, the discus, cutting the demons, that is the negative within, and serving through sweet words, through empowering words, through uplifting words, leading a life of lotus, like I become victorious. So that's like a degree. So these are the meaning of the symbols. So that's what the discuss of self-realization means. Any other question? Yes, please.
Well, I wanted just to say thank you because it's been a very powerful talk to me.
Thank you.
And I have to ask you, like, where would you start when you are so attached to your first son and you don't know how to detach due to protection, helps, and you can't take it anymore. You can't do it anymore.
Of course, I don't understand in terms of your relationship with the son, whether he's in need or they've just moved away. And so this is where we have a wonderful topic coming up. I think it's in March, Beyond Roles and Responsibilities. It's just looking at the blurb. I was just looking at the theme. So do come to that evening as well, if not every evening. So when I understand I'm a being of light, then I'm able to step away from the roles I'm playing. And remember, I'm an actor. And I had to play the role of a mother, but now I probably play the role of being a nurse or a doctor, or maybe all of these roles at the same time. And when we learn to step away, and we have to understand that though my son, but it's an individual, and they have to play their part, and they, even if they're not doing it correctly, and you think they could do it better or they could try this way, often they have to find their own way through their mistakes. And we can't do anything about it. It's just like sometimes you tell a child, don't go. When you say something like don't go, they will want to go and find out. And it's like, this is when the child is young. And you say, but don't touch the gas. Don't go to the gas cooker. You'll burn yourself. But until probably they've hit the fire, they may not realize. Yeah. And even after doing that, sometimes they'll be so embarrassed that they didn't listen and they'll try and move away from you. But through your mind, through your thoughts, you continue to give them good wishes. You continue to offer them the help through your mind. And any kind of help offered through our mind is far more powerful than financial help, emotional help in that way. I mean, yes, the mind will give them the emotional help, but physical help is far more powerful than the physical help or financial help. And the more I understand that, the more I'll be able to help. So I don't need to be sad, no sadness. That my path is changing, there are more beautiful things waiting for me. And they have to explore their life in the way they want. And sooner we see ourselves more as a friend, then that honesty will continue. In fact, they will come and share with you what's happening in their lives. It was something I was discussing, I think it was about a couple of weeks ago. We had a beautiful conversation. It was with one of our senior sisters that it took me some time to understand because I was too worried for them. But I needed to step back and say, no, that's not their way of learning. Even that may have been my way of learning, but that's not their way of learning. And if I impose my way of learning, they'll be even away, they'll do more wrong to themselves or move away a lot more than would be necessary. So the more we connect with the divine, the more we take power, love ourselves, the more we'll be able to understand others better, what they need, when they need, and how best they can listen to us or help themselves. And sometimes we are at fault. We need to change our way of thinking. And so be open, very open. I should thank you both for asking these two questions, because these were 2 points I did want to mention, especially when last week I was thinking of the theme and I said I must mention the discus. But I had forgotten because didn't think about it today, but it's good. So the right thought, she asked the question and I was prompted to share that. And so was you. Yes, you have one last question now. Do we have time?
Thank you. It was a lovely talk. In the context of personal relationships, it's much more obvious, love and detachment. Put this into the context of work. You say, love your work sometimes, and we not hate, but we want to detach ourselves from work, right? And is this concept even applicable that people love their work and then we transit in between detachment and love all our lives? Or is it just meant for personal relationships?
Sorry. No, it's for everything. Possessions, work. Loving our work is not wrong. Often people ask me, like it's been about 25 years plus that I've been coming here, but at least 25 years now, I think. And says, don't you get tired doing this? And I said, no, because I love doing it. I mean, yes, physically I may get more tired than I used to before, but no, not for a long time that I would be disappointed or any kind of, I wouldn't even say ill feelings, but even slightest of that feeling doesn't last for too long. Because, I love what I do. And it's a choice I've made. Because I may have shared this earlier in the previous talks. It was when I finished my schooling, I don't know how many years ago now, but when we used to sign the autographs, that was the trend. I don't know if it happens in the schools now, but all your friends would write something about you. So then, and you had a book, and I still have a book somewhere. So others were just copy and paste kind of thing. They would have heard and they would have written. But this one of my friends, it was not even my so close friend, a classmate. She said, if you do not have what you like, you must learn to like what you have. And boy, this has helped me so much. And a lot of my worries, a lot of my uneasiness has been dealt with by just remembering that suggestion. If you do not have what you like, learn to like what you have. And I think I've moved away from just liking, but actually loving and appreciating what I have. We'll finish with a few moments of reflection. Sit back, relax with the feet on the ground. Breathing in deeply but gently. If you're able to leave your eyes open, maybe you want to look at the poster behind me, or if you wish to, you can focus in the center of forehead here. And if you find that difficult, feel free to close your eyes. I become aware of myself as a being of light, child of divine, whose innate qualities are all very positive and powerful. Wisdom, positivity, love, peace, happiness are my inner qualities. And as I connect with the divine source through my thoughts, supreme light. Constantly showering peace, love, happiness, strength, and wisdom of what is right and what is wrong. Or is there anything wrong? Or what do I need to do now? This allows me to be calm and take the right decisions and be free, free of hate, dislike, judgments, free from any negativity that would bring me into a vicious circle of more negativity. And that unconditional love brings that inner smile, and that inner smile shares everything. I don't even need to do much. I can just smile, and that is enough. Genuinely smile. And that can only happen, I understand now, is when I free myself from any expectations as I am receiving the strength from the divine. I'm empowered. I don't need anything. In fact, I wish to share whatever I have. Now, cherishing these moments, I slowly bring back my attention to where I am. Thanking the universe, the divine, for everything that life is offering me. Om Shanti. I am peace. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
So thank you, Sister Daksha, for that beautiful talk. So everybody feel like a lotus now. Feel like a lotus, pure and powerful. Yeah, I'm seeing new faces here. So who's here for the first time? Welcome. Yeah, right, wonderful. Welcome back again. And so just a few announcements. Those who are new, we have every Monday and Thursday in-house meditations at 7 to 7:30 in the evening here. They're also online too. And every Sundays we have 10 to 10:45 in the morning online meditation. So to polish up and to really go into that experience, we always recommend you to come for these because they're actually guided. But should you wish that you want to come during the day, our silent room here in the corner is always available. So you may come and pop in and just enjoy silent time. And next week, the talk on Tuesday, same time, is by Sister Gudrun, who's based in Oxford at our Global Retreat Center. And she'll come all the way from Oxford here and share on this beautiful topic, experiencing your choices. And her role there is to take care of the beautiful gardens. It's about 33 acres of land. And she is also part of the team and responsible to making sure it's thriving. And she's been with the Brahma Kumaris for many, many years. And so, invitation for you not only to come, but for your friends, family, and anyone who you feel you want to bring into connection. So don't miss out. Okay? And to take your experience deeper, we have a fast-track Raj Yoga meditation course coming up, and that is on the
19th.
The 19th, right? So that's on the 19th.
Monday.
And all information is on the website. So you do just register, you get a link, and then you can join online. And you're most welcome to, again, spread the word to those who are interested. Yeah, and the website is www.innerspacewembley.org. So take care and have a safe journey back home. And before you go home, the shop is open for you. So today's product for the week is It's Time for Relationships by Aruna Ladva. That's the book. So should you wish to buy it, you're most welcome to. Thank you. Om Shanti and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Kanan. I just want to also flag up that 19th of March, one of our very senior brother, Ken O'Donnell, a couple of his books are in the bookshop as well. We'll be visiting London just for a few days, but he's agreed to come here for a talk. So please keep that in diary and, do come 19th of March, same time, 6:45. See you.